Wingecarribee, which is a private koala sanctuary in the Southern Highlands, and we're here looking for koalas to radio collar and GPS track. So we'll be out spotlighting from the cars and walking, just shining the lights into the trees, looking for the eye shine of the koalas, and hopefully we'll get some. Basically we've found koalas like absolutely anywhere on a tree, from right at the base to right at the tip, right in the foliage. But one of their favourites is grey gum, and there's quite a lot on this property, so we would go to a patch there to check that out. It's quite surprising, being such an iconic Australian animal, that there's a lot still unknown about koalas, like little things like what they eat. It varies a lot geographically, so while they might be well studied in one area, they're not in others.
Seeing all the other wildlife that's out at the same time, it's quite a buzz to be able to get a good opportunity like this to get out on properties that you don't normally get access to and just see what's around.
Hi Shire, you might be able to see some of the scratches from the koalas on these grey gums. There's a couple of scratch marks here that are probably from koalas, just as they're climbing the tree. So as they grab on, they basically propel themselves up with their front claws. Fortunately, they're really camouflaged and really quiet, which does not make for particularly easy animals to find. The community engagement is really important. They play a really great important part in terms of saving us a lot of time looking for koalas. For one, if they can ring up and say we've got one in our front yard, it makes it a lot easier for us. And plus those koalas are the ones we're really interested in, because they're the ones moving through the sort of semi-urban areas, the ones that are sort of making the dash between the core populations. And so they're the ones we want to follow and see which sort of fragmented areas they're using, so we can make sure they're protected and even do more plannings to try and build them up and strengthen them.
That's it. So could you keep doing this for a couple of hundred metres?
Yeah, like often, like now we are pretty strong, so often when it's weaker, I'll just be like walk for 200. Here it is, the koala, on top of the stringy bark. She's moved about 200 metres. This was her yesterday.
Okay.
And this is her today.
In 1970 we came here. There were no koalas here, and the local people told us that they'd been wiped out and that they were completely gone. In 1939 there were terrible bushfires through Canyon Lane. An old man, a friend who lived here, he's gone now, told us the cruel situation that the koalas found themselves in with this terrible fire. He said it was heartbreaking to hear their cries when they were suffering. But it was some years later before we actually saw the first koala, and we were amazed and so pleased to see it. We started to realise that although there weren't all that many here, they were very slowly coming back from that devastating bushfire. We've designated our properties the Southern Highlands Koala Sanctuary. We connect to the national park, so it gives them a very big area where they can live here in peace, not being troubled by humanity's interference, really.
So we managed to find one this morning in daylight. 3 of us were doing some grid searches through the bush, just keeping an eye out, looking up and scanning the trees, and spotted this one. So we've all got George over here, ready for the capture.
My job is to catch the koala. So basically I'm going to get within range of the koala, and I've got an extendable pole, and I'm going to attach a flag to the end of it. And basically the koalas don't like things above or over their heads, so I'm going to just basically shake it over its head, and the sound, the crinkling and the everything else will encourage it to come down.
Good boy. Good koala. Good. Keep going. Good koala.
On the ground.
Still not
Nice. The way he was moving and everything, he seemed alright, but Dave, our vet's going to come up shortly and assess it, and we'll see if it's healthy enough and in good enough condition to put a collar on it.
He's got chlamydia. He has chlamydia conjunctivitis. He's got a bad infection with chlamydia. So he's about 8, 7 or 8. We know that chlamydia is a major problem across this whole area. We suspected that there would be problems with it down here, but we didn't know how widespread it would be. His condition is fair right now. It's not great. Over the course of the next 6 months or so, maybe less, the eye lesions would become worse, and his corneas would become cloudy and he'd become blind. All we can do is, when we catch a sick one like this, is to bring it into hospital for care, and that's our really only option, and hope that he adapts to being in care, and then we can get him back to healthiness and then release him again after that. During this process, we're getting a feel for how widespread the chlamydia is, and if there's populations that have it and if there's populations that don't. We wish that there was some way we could control chlamydia in the wild animals, but given the fact that they're very, very hard to find to begin with, and they're spread out over such a huge area, it's impossible to control it, to treat them, or anything else at this point in time. So what ultimately we want to do is, we think that environmental stressors, problems with reduced habitat and shrinkage of areas where they live may make the situation worse in the population. So we want to identify the habitat that they're in and make sure we protect it so that they have the most ideal environment that they can live in, and hopefully that will allow them to cope with the chlamydia as best as they can. The male only had disease of his eyes that we've been able to identify so far, and he's been started on medication and his eyes are starting to clear up already. So we're hopeful that he can recover and can be released back to the wild.
We've had a lot of reports since May 2014. We've had over 100 community sightings that have come through our koala hotline and also through Facebook. It's been a fantastic community response, and we're encouraging people to keep reporting them, because that will then feed into further information that land use managers will require to make better land use decisions. This research will enable us to get the baseline data. I guess the main aspect of the project is to make sure everyone in the Southern Highlands is aware of koalas in the local area and what they can do to ensure their long-term survival.